Hey everyone, my name is Sharon Florentine. I'm one of the editorial directors here at Cyber Risk Alliance, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Christy Wyatt. She is the president and CEO of Absolute Security. Christy is a veteran in the cybersecurity industry. She's served as CEO of DTech Systems, chairman, president, and CEO of Good Technology, which was acquired by BlackBerry, and she's served on numerous boards of directors as well. Christy was recently recognized as CEO of the Year by the Globe and Mail. She's been named one of the top 50 leaders in SaaS in 2019, and she made the Inc. magazine Top 50 Women Entrepreneurs of America list. That's not all. She was named Information Security's CEO of the Year and a Fierce Wireless Most Influential Women in Wireless. And now we're thrilled to recognize her as one of SC Magazine's Women in IT Security honorees. So Christy, thank you so much for being here with me today. It is such a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you, Sharon. Likewise.
Yeah, you bet. So you've been in the cybersecurity industry for a while, but what first drew you to cybersecurity, and how has your career path shaped your approach to leadership today?
So I landed in cybersecurity almost organically. It wasn't a design. I was managing all software within Motorola that sort of landed on a handset, and cybersecurity was a big part of it. And we started recognizing kind of what was going to happen at the intersection between enterprise and mobile. And of course, cybersecurity ended up becoming a big part of that conversation. And we did a couple of acquisitions prior to selling the business to Google. So that was sort of my first foray into it. And then after we left Motorola, I had the opportunity to work briefly within Citigroup. And again, I think day one of my time in ONT, cybersecurity was the big conversation. So I think it started as a theme, and then it sort of became a passion. I think that we all like to talk about our industry and how we're mission driven, and I think that's been very much true for me. I think I try to look at technology inflection points that I think can have a huge impact on helping organizations become more secure and more resilient.
Fantastic. And speaking of impact, what do you consider your most significant contribution so far, whether that's to your organization, the security community as a whole, or the next generation of cyber professionals?
I think one thing I'm quite proud of within this organization is the focus on resilience. When I first came into Absolute, we had this just incredibly powerful platform. I mean, we sort of, we have a piece of technology that's embedded in the BIOS of over 500 million devices, almost every PC on the planet. And we sort of asked ourselves, it was currently being used to track lost devices. And we thought, what is the more critical set of things we could help practitioners or security professionals with? And this conversation around resilience, if you walked around Black Hat or say this year, resilience was everywhere. But 6-7 years ago when I started down this journey, right, it was a relatively novel approach. We weren't focused on fixing bad things or looking for the bad guys, but more helping folks recover when something bad happened. And I think that became a passion. And we've tried to expose a lot of data to help folks understand where they may have challenges in becoming more resilient. I think we've really just, whether it's been the application resilience, the device resilience, it's taking a look at the same event, but from a different angle. And so there's a lot of really, really clever, intelligent people that are trying to focus on how to prevent a bad thing from happening, right? We're sort of the realists that say, and just on the off chance that something snuck through, we think we can be helpful there as well. And I feel like in doing that, we've been able to help organizations in a way that they didn't necessarily have. And so I think we're all quite proud of that.
I love that. So speaking to challenges, what barriers or challenges have you faced as a woman in security, and how did you overcome those?
Before I was a woman in security, I was a woman in tech, and I started as a software developer. And so I think I am not alone in saying that getting heard was always a big challenge, and getting heard for the content, making sure that folks are hearing my perspective, regardless, not for the right reasons. And I think that has always been a passion of mine. And I think the way we try to manifest that within Absolute and within the various organizations I've worked with is really focusing on the work, right? I am a big believer that it's the diversity of the voices that actually creates a richer conversation. And, if you believe that, then the reason to invest in diversity and in a lot of emerging populations, women in tech being one of them, is because you value the input and the impact it's going to have on the business. And so therefore you celebrate the impact on the business. So when we, talk about how do we shine a light on some of the great work of the individuals within the organization, we try to focus on their accomplishments and highlighting the great impact it's had on the business. Folks will notice who did the work. Folks will notice kind of how that happened. And in time, that just becomes a part of normal. And so I think we're quite proud of that. I think it's something we try to model. And I would say it's not easy. It's easy to say today, but I have a 28-year-old daughter who's also now a woman in tech. And so I get a very real-time reminder of for young women coming up in our industry, it's still not easy. And so sticking to being heard, I think is important.
I would absolutely agree with that. And following on from that, it sounds like you're doing a lot at home too, but how else do you support and advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in cyber?
Again, I think we look for the work and the impact. So when we try to highlight, a great example would be Cybersecurity Awareness Month, right? I think it's a great moment to talk about the fabric of your cybersecurity teams and kind of the work that they're having. And again, folks will notice who's doing the work. I think we've been quite proud that we have a really high performance cybersecurity team. It is a very diverse group of voices, and they come from a variety of different backgrounds. And I think that folks see that when we ask them to stand up and talk about their work and their projects and how they're protecting us, or things that folks need to be aware of within their day-to-day life. I think when individuals, especially young individuals, see folks taking the mic, having the impact, it sort of translates back to them. I think that we try to be very mindful of kind of what we're shining a light on and the tone we're putting around it.
So finally, looking ahead, what trends, threats, issues do you believe are going to shape, say, the next 5 years of the industry, and how are you preparing for those?
I realize this will surprise you when I say there's this thing called AI that's been evolving. I know.
Oh my gosh.
It changes not only how we do the work we do, but what kind of work we do. And if consistent with what I said earlier, our focus is on resilience. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a period of time where we're going to see incredible innovation from a variety of different stakeholders, the bad guys as well as the good guys, right? I think everybody is going to access these tools and these strategies to change how they approach whatever problem they're trying to solve. That's going to create, I think, a tremendous amount of opportunity, but also a tremendous amount of risk. And I don't think that there's ever been a time where having a safety net or being sort of resilient and ready is going to be more important. And that's not unique to us. We certainly have one small part of that. But I think that just more broadly, it's not business as usual. And it's we were all shaken when the pandemic happened, and we all had to think differently about how we protect an organization and how, where the risk landscape and how that's sort of shifted and morphed. My CISO within Absolute likes to talk about anti-fragile and anti-fragility. We've been a big believer that it's the complexity in our organizations that is actually driving a lot of the vulnerability. The more we try to help, the more we actually introduce more complexity into that tech stack. And that's going to open up new opportunities. So that's been true. If you had 10 security applications, now you have 20 security applications. That complexity has grown, and it's much more likely that some of them are just going to stop working and you won't notice for a while. But now think about what happens when you add new AI tools into that, new AI strategies around that. It's defending against new kind of attacks. So I think this is going to be a period of immense innovation, immense experimentation, which I'm excited about. I think folks, you want to encourage folks to go down this path. And you also want to make sure that you've really thought about business continuity. At the end of the day, our job is to keep the lights on.
Yeah. Well, thank you so very much for your time and your insights here, and congratulations again on being a 2025 Women in IT Security honoree. We are so thrilled for you. Sure.